Yo, Armin, what's up? Sorry, I had my mic off. You're the first one in here. So I'm going to go into a deep dive of this mix and master that I just finished actually about a day and a half ago. So I'm really excited to get into this stuff, guys. I'm going to show you my routing. I'm going to show you plugins I use. I'm going to show you ways that I get saturation, I get depth, I get 3D. This is all in Logic Pro. You can apply these principles to any DAW. It does not matter if you use Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Reaper, Ableton, FL Studio. You can literally use any of these techniques in that. And some of these techniques have been pulled from other engineers and people that I look up to, I respect, and colleagues of mine. So this is really cool stuff. I'm going to show you guys some really dope stuff. And hope you're paying attention. If you're here to learn, you're here to like deep dive into this stuff, you want to know a lot more about mixing, mastering, getting your stuff as loud as possible, you came to the right spot. All right, so give me some thumbs up, give me some love, drop some comments, smash the like button. You know, that's what we're doing here. I'm trying to reach more people, help more people with their mixes, because there's a lot of bad mixes out there, let's face it, right? A lot of people shitting out stuff. So if you guys have any questions also while I go along, just drop them in the comments, right? Just drop them on this comment and reaction stuff. Just, yo, you know, how did you get your kick drum? What kick drum? You know, what is that plugin? Can you open that window, etc.? I'm gonna do that because this is all live and this is all for you, 100% for you. Okay, so I'm gonna I'll slow down, I'll answer questions as I go. So this track right here is something that's you know, not necessarily something I do a lot of mixing on. It's a EDM kind of vibe, and it has a ton of layers of like samples. You can see here there's effects, there's synths, there's more effects, there's vocals, all in pink here. They're all color coordinated. You got ARPs in green, you got light blue pads, the sub and the bass. So there's one part here where the sub and the bass are going together. That's a huge challenge. I want to show you guys how to overcome that challenge. It's not always through automation like a lot of people think, but yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. As long as you guys can hear me well, I'm gonna play a little bit of this song. I'm gonna show you the reference I got from the artist, producer, and just kind of like show you what we're trying to beat here. So yeah, you guys excited? I'm excited. I'm really hyped to get into this challenge. It's not always through automation. I am going to get right into exactly what this is, what the breakdown is, how the routing's going, and kind of show you guys some stuff. Awesome to have you guys here. Armin, thank you for jumping in the chat and you know, making some comments. If you guys got any questions, pop in there at any time. I'm gonna go back here and get out of this window so I don't have doubles of myself. All right, so now we're in Logic Pro. I'm gonna show you the breakdown here, the setup. This is what I got: kick, clap, snare, hats, percussion, bass, subs, arps, pads, synths, effects, vocals. Now, here's the interesting thing about this mix is that I'm not typically grabbing a mix that has like, you know, like burnt in effects. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of this track. I'll show you just kind of the beginning, and then I'll show you kind of like where it gets really loud and it drops and everything. All right, so here it comes. I'm going to mute my microphone, and I hope you guys enjoy. that's a little taste of it. I'm gonna also jump to the back part here because this was the biggest challenge for this mix, was when the sub and the bass and the kick are all hitting at the same time. And we got to be careful with the low end because the low end's really got to be pretty beefy on this mix. It's got to play at the clubs. It's got to translate to Spotify. It's got to translate to Apple Music, all the streaming services. But it's also got to hit and like feel really big and subby in the chest. So here's where the sub comes in. I'll just show you a little bit of that. What's up, Johnny Gillespie? How you doing, baby? So huge challenge, right? Is when you get a mix like this, you're like, dude, there's so much low end. I needed to bring clarity to the track. I'm gonna show you the reference that they made, and they got it dog shit loud, but it's also like, you know, I just wanted to basically get the idea they had, get it across, not change the mix too much, but you know, give it clarity, give it more dimension, give it more depth, give it more width, give it more punch, give it a lot more translation. So I'm gonna show you just the their reference mix, and you can see already it's just a sausage, like straight up, like someone threw Ozone 9 on this and just let it do its work, you know, or maybe it was Lander, you know, I don't know, but a lot of the times like people are just auto mastering, and it can just totally just collapse your mix. And I want you guys to pay attention to like the depth, the width, the punch, the fullness. And then also like what's happening when I go to this reference mix, how mono it sounds, how chunky, and like kind of sounds like they put a blanket over the mix, etc. And they got it really loud, and they got that low end really loud, but it just won't translate. That sort of mix and master just doesn't translate across all you know, systems. It only translates within maybe their Project Studio or whatever off their HS8s. I don't know, but I'm gonna show you kind of what I started with and then how I kind of improved it. So there you go. Hopefully you can hear that, guys. Hopefully you're listening on headphones, some good headphones, open back preferably if you want that low end, or like a good little studio setup, Project Studio setup. But do you guys have any questions about that? Because like that's super important that it translates. When you go to the reference mix, you hear that kick drum, they wanted it to have tons of body and low end, but that low end just doesn't, you can't hear it over computer speakers. You can barely hear it over a system that's going to reproduce anything above 90 hertz or 100 hertz. It's just going to sound like all floppy and messed up. So I had to go in there and kind of like detangle. Now let's just start with this, with kind of like, you know, some techniques and stuff and some routing here. And of course, like if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the comments, reactions here on the chat, so I can kind of answer those as I go. So I'm going to start with kind of the routing, the basic principles I was using here. I have my drums are obviously going to be some of the most important parts of this mix. The drums, the bass, and the sub bass, right? So it's a dance track. I mean, for God's sake, it's like 4 on the floor. It's kick the whole time. So that kick has to really be exciting. It has to be something that's going to work, right? And so here I have a kick. It's sending to a kick parallel. And you can see it better over here on the left. Kick parallel here, going to an API, which is basically kind of taking a little bit off the top. It's very slow on the attack. If you can have a slow attack on an API, which really isn't slow, 30 milliseconds is not slow. Ratio 4:1. I'm kind of just tickling this. Let's just show you what this is doing on the kick. So we can kind of get into this a little bit. Here's where the sub comes in. Sorry, this is the drum parallel, so it's actually not tickling. It's smashing pretty hard. So this is actually a parallel going in. And then after this parallel, which is basically smashing it pretty hard, you can see I'm just blending it in -5.2 into the volume fader. And I'm just going to kind of bring that up so you can see kind of like exactly where I landed on that 5. Alright, so I want you guys to really pay attention as I A-B this. When I turn the parallel off on the bus 2, what I'm getting out of the parallel is the kick. It's the punch, right? It's like the 100 area. And I did that. I followed this API with the... API is already punchy, but I followed the API with a little boost at 519 and then also 136, right? So that's that like... Doof, doof, doof. It's like the punch in the chest, right? Beats, bars, Bibles, I need to start getting good with bussing, yeah. Bussing is everything with a mix. You need to definitely bus. The less you're doing kind of on the master and you're just kind of like giving it little glue and stuff on the master, the better your mix is going to be. Alan, yeah, mixing right now, mixing and mastering, showing you just like a breakdown of this mix and master. How much red can a track handle? That depends on what you're talking about. I like gain staging. You got to make sure that you're not hitting red on like throughout your gain staging. But you know, if you have really great gear, like great converters, you can soft clip them. But you got to have like $3,000 converters or above, right? So the track can usually handle quite a bit of red overage, as long as you're doing it like with your ears, you're not hearing that distortion and stuff. And if you're mixing on some like prosumer stuff like HS5s, HS8s, you know, KRK rockets, I don't advise that you ever hit red because you're not hearing it right. It's just not going to translate. It's going to be clipping the shit out. So you can see here I'm just punching and I'm sweeping everything below 90 on the kick. And that's the parallel, guys. So smacking this, getting that parallel, but then saturating it and just giving myself punch, which means on the kick, I actually shaped it to just give me the boom and the low end, okay? So I swept out everything below 23. I want you guys to remember, like, voltage hitting the master is what's going to peak out your shit. It's going to clip your shit, is the voltage, right? So anything like down in the bottom, tons of voltage is going to clip out your stuff. Now this is a 1.5 boost just to give it a little, hey, that's where the kick is sort of thing. And then you can see here I dipped out the 400 kind of area, which I'm putting into the parallel compressor on the kick. Now right after that I have this API vision channel strip, which is really great for kick drums. I love it for drums. I'll show you exactly what it's doing. So as you guys can see, I'm cutting out some stuff here, the 1.5 area. I'm just kind of taking that out. I'm making it a little bit more round. I'm shaping it. This is just barely compressing. I have a 50 millisecond on it here on this release, and then, or I think, yeah, that's the release. And then here it's a hard knee, and the type is new, and I'm at a 2:1 here on the compressor, and that is on. I also have the filter on, and it looks like it's just bypassing everything, you know, past like 25 or something hertz, right? So that's it. API Vision, just getting some beef out of it. API is great for beef. It's going to give you some oomph, you know, and this kick really needed oomph. Now I want you guys to see this full like routing. So bus 1 is really where we're going to end up, and that drum mix is bus 1. Now this looks crazy, right? I got NLS buses, and I got like multiples of them, right? And there's 8 of them. Now I actually got this tip and this trick from Jason Joshua. If you know Jason Joshua, he's mixed a ton of records for a ton of huge artists. He actually mixed and or I don't think he mastered, but he mixed Sway Lee's hit, Sway Lee and French Montana, Unforgettable, I believe. I think it was Unforgettable and Guatemala and a couple others, but if you hear what this is doing right here, I have 4 NLS buses. They're all on like different versions. This is really like pushing into an analog console. This is like doing what you would do on like an SSL G series, where you start to like push and like bend, and it kind of saturates, and it makes the drums fat and huge and smacks, right? So spike, you know, you have all the different things. You have the SSLs, you have the Neves. You know, this is like a Neve console. These aren't doing anything, by the way, guys. Like, I'm not actually pushing anything up or driving anything. It's just going through the plugin. All right, so there's 4 of them, and then I have a Pro Q3 here, which I'm starting to take out some of that boom and some of that that boxy stuff that's going to hit the master a lot harder. Looks like I dipped out some high stuff because all my drums are going to this bus, right? And then I'm also clearing out 18 and below. And then I hit NLS bus again. 8 in a row, guys. And then after the 8th one again, I have this, and it looks like I just brought this down probably because it was just like a little too much down here at like 700 and below. So I just kind of like dipped it down to kind of back off a little bit, because these plugins will make everything really heavy, right? And that's what they're great for. So I'm going to turn them off, and I'm going to show you exactly what they're doing, and you might lose your mind when you hear the difference. All right, so I'm just going to kind of bypass all these NLS buses in the Pro Q3 going to my drum mix. And then this drum mix then gets bussed to drum master, and that has a send also on it. I'm going to show you all this stuff, guys. Like, this is key to making a massive mix, right? So it's just saturation color. So I'm going to show you this. I'm going to turn off the NLS buses and give you an AB. You guys liking this? If you guys are liking this, give me some thumbs up. Give me some love. I know you might be taking notes right now. This is heavy shit. You know, I've been mixing and mastering for over 17 years. I've mixed and mastered for some really amazing artists, great records. I have a platinum record for Everything Is Awesome for the Lego Movie. I've worked on, you know, 3+ records with G-Eazy on them, French Montana's artists, a bunch of different stuff. Marty Grimes, rap artists, EDM artists, rock producers and rock bands. All sorts of stuff. So I'm excited to like share this stuff with you guys. Just all I ask is like, just give some love, show some love, give some likes, give me some comments, you know, run it up so I can help more people get this stuff. All right, so here it is, NLS bus. This is right from Jason Joshua's book. Jason Joshua, you're a legend. If you ever see this, which I'm sure you won't, but if you do, thank you so much for the tips and stuff. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna show you on and off with these NLS bus, and you'll hear the drums just collapse. Right? Is that incredible? Like, do you guys think that that's just ridiculous, insane how heavy that lifting is? because at the end of the day, when you're mixing into these processes and you're doing your gain staging right, you're basically driving the components and you're making everything kind of marry together. So everything flows together and they're all one unit. So all these plugins and then hitting these plugins, they all work together. That's really important to understand with mixing and mastering, right? Because after this bus to this bus to this bus to this bus with all these, you know, parallel sends and stuff, they're all ending up at the master bus at a stereo, right? And the stereo itself, just to show you guys the actual master, I have all this on it, right? So I have a FG mu, which is a very mu, pretty typical master bus for me settings. So, and then I got the Brainworks V3, which is a mid-side EQ, right? And then I have the FG red, which I love, very nice color and tone to it. I got the UAD Vertigo VSM3 mid-side. I got the Oxford Inflator, and you can see there's red here. I don't give a fuck. I always trust my ears more than I care about any sort of red meters on plugins. And I got the Gullfoss, which is a very intelligent EQ, and you can see it's doing a smiley face. This looks crazy right now because it's an intelligent EQ, so it's just showing noise right now. I don't care. Noise is great. I love noise, especially if like the mix is supposed to be nice and analog. It's really, I'm happy with it. And then I got Ozone 9 here, and Ozone 9 is doing some EQ, just very, very soft curve. And then it's doing a dynamic EQ, dipping some spots, kind of controlling some sub. And then I'm not actually like limiting too hard, -4.5, which means I probably got my my mix pretty good hitting the master. So this is all color, saturation, depth, all that stuff. But let's get back to the drums here. The drum mix, you can hear how that just collapses everything. If you guys think that's really interesting, then, you know, good, because it is fucking interesting. It's like, you know, this stuff is just, it's just very much like actual analog gear. So that's kind of why I use it. Now let's get to the drum master here. So once my drums hit that, all that drum mix, which if I solo this drum mix, I want you to hear this. This is just going to be my drums. So as you can hear, there's also some other stuff going on there that you're not hearing when I solo just the drum mix, right? This is actually really exciting. It's fun to show you guys this stuff because, you know, 17 plus years doing this stuff, I just have like an arsenal of sounds in my head and what these plugins do, and it's just fun. Like, this is fun stuff. I hope you guys like this too. Like, if you're into engineering, production, etc., like, you got to nerd out on this shit or else you're never going to be good at it, because it really does take a love for it. So now I'm going to hit my drum master, right? Before it feeds my master, my all drums, and then my all drums feeds my master augs. Okay, so just to break this down again. So the kick drum and all the other drums go to a drum mix bus, right? Those go through the NLS and all that stuff. It's getting like a saturation like it's going to a console. They're not doing anything, no gain added, but you can hear the gain is added obviously just by having the plugins on. There's 8 of them. And then it goes to a drum master bus, which is this. Then it goes to an all drums bus, which means what I can do with it, and the reason I have this is I can mute this and all my drums are muted, or if someone wants a stem of just the drums, solo it, bounce all the drums at once, right? That's the idea. The all drums bus then goes to the master augs, right? So the master augs is inputting bus 4. I hope you guys don't have any questions. If you do, hit me up, just pop them in the comments. Easily answer those for you, okay? So drum master, let's get into this. This is a really, really fun stuff. Yeah, dude, mixes are really hard, man. Mixing is a very, very, very deep and steep learning curve, because there's a lot of art and a lot of science to it. But it's very much an art. It's about taste, guys. It's about, like, I can make a tasteful mix and master, or you can do a I guess technically correct mix, right? It's all about taste. That's why you would hire a mix engineer. So here we go. R-Bass, love it. One of my favorite plugins of all time. And the reason being is because it literally just adds these harmonic frequencies and makes it feel like those frequencies are there without adding too much voltage. Really important to understand. So that R-Bass, I'm going to show you these drums with and without the R-Bass on here. Okay, I'm soloing the drums now. I'm just gonna play them for you. Now what you'll understand is it makes them tighter. It kind of like brings up this low like sub octave, but it also is like bringing the gain down a little bit, right? And that's because we're gain staging, and gain staging is really important. As your plugins are going, or any gear you're going with, you got a gain stage. So this is taking it down -3.2 gain. So I'm just kind of like going like this. I'm going, hey, bring it all down, and then just kind of bring up the bottom a little bit and make it tight. It's got to be tight. If I turn that off, you get a ton of level from the drums and it turns up, but that's going to make everything else out of balance, right? It's going to out-whack everything. So hopefully you guys understand that. And then we have the UAD Shadow Hills. This is a big one too. Like, I love this one. I got this from Jason Joshua as well. Just, you know, popping this on the Drum Master. I thought that was a genius idea because this thing just has like the ability to glue things. It's a mastering compressor. It's very deep. I won't get into the details of the actual compressor itself, but the hardware unit is very expensive, but the plugin is very, very close to the hardware unit. Okay, so here what we're doing is we're just kind of taking a little off the top. I'm going to show you what it's doing here. Pretty powerful stuff, right? So what that's for is it's really for just a little bit more harmonics, right? I got that's a really deep piece of gear. It's got tubes in it. You could change the transformers from nickel to steel to some other, you know, other metal of some sort. But that thing's a stereo beast. It's a mastering piece of gear. Very awesome. But you can hear like it's pushing the drums forward. It's making them feel at tension. It makes them feel pronounced, exciting. They're bitey, they're punchy, they're saturated a little bit. And I'm just going to play you the reference mix compared to those drums and just listen to the harmonics in the drums that I have here and how they stand to attention and how they cut through the mix and they feel important. That's the important part for this mix, is the drums and the rhythm section has to feel important, not just like a big fucking thumpy ass huge subby kick. That's just not important to me. I'm just like, oh, you didn't know how to mix, right? That's what it sounds like. So I'm going to just A-B these. I want you to hear this. So you guys hear that, I hope, right? What do you guys think of that? Can we get some thumbs up? Can we get some love? Can I get some love for that? I mean, shit. I'm busting my ass trying to get those drums to really knock, cut through, still be important in the low end, not take over the mix, not be a big floppy mess that sounds like it's mono. So show me some love. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some hearts. Give me some love. I'm just looking for love. All right, so that's really important. The Shadow Hills is super important to this. And then I got a noise gate. Why? Because obviously there's going to be a bunch of noise introduced as I go through all those analog circuitries. You know, they're going to bring a lot of noise. So I just close it. You can see here it's holding for a second. So it's not going to close until there's no drums. If there's no drums, it'll close, right? So it's closed now. But right when I play it, it's going to open up. I'm just closing it when there's no drums playing. Okay, really important. Just getting rid of the noise. Okay, Next thing. Hey, thanks guys. Beats, Bars, and Bibles, you're killing it, dude. You're killing the comments game. I'm gonna send you a t-shirt. So hit me up after this, because I like people that are responsive and actually get in here and want to learn shit. So really appreciate your comments, man. I'm gonna send you something. I'm gonna send you a t-shirt. So here we go. Black box. I'm actually, if you could see here, it's 27 days on a trial. I'm trying this out. This thing's mean. I mean, this is such a cool plugin, right? And you're like, dude, this is a distortion plugin with tubes in it, right? But it's on my drum master bus. Now, why? Because I love tubes. And if you guys don't know about tubes, whew, tubes, transformers, tape, you gotta saturate. You gotta find ways to make your shit sound like alive. That's what harmonics are. I want liveliness. I want things to be pushed forward. I want it at attention, etc. So you gotta find those ways. And a lot of those ways are through harmonic distortion, okay? So I'm gonna just pop this in and out, but I just push the peno just a little bit, tiny bit of saturation. The more saturation, the more I kind of lose detail. Triode, if you know the difference between a pentode and triode, you know what these are doing. It's basically odd and even harmonics, right? So with a triode, you're getting odd harmonics, right? You get, or even, I'm sorry, 3, 6, 9, whatever. Pentode, I believe, is like odd harmonics, but I could have that backwards. I don't know. Go read up on it. I just use my ears. I'm like, I like that. I like that. I like what this is doing to the kick. I like what that's doing to the snare, right? And then a little bit of air, and then of course, like again, I'm gain staging, guys. Got to bring the output down. So I'm just gonna play this A/B it with and without. I'll solo the drums for you guys. Do you like the drums soloed and then hear them in the mix? What do you guys think? Just let me know. I'm gonna solo them first, and then I'm gonna pop them in the mix. Okay, so regardless of what genre you make, produce, mix, master, whatever, you have to respect this shit, right? Like, I don't produce this style of music, but I've mixed and mastered many records like this, okay? I haven't mixed and mastered one for a while, but this one I finished like a day and a half ago. I just want you to understand like how important it is to just have like an open catalog of music and different stuff. I mix a lot of trap records, urban artists, pop records, things like that, rock records, but EDM is not something I do a lot of mixing on, right? So I'm excited when something like this does come through, because it's a challenge, because there's so many instruments fighting for attention. And the drums are going to be super important in EDM, just like urban music, trap, R&B, hip hop. Drums are centric, right? So that is it. Black box, amazing, right? You guys get that attention again. It's kind of doing the same thing that Shadow Hills kind of thing is doing. It's pushing it forward. It's bringing attention to the drums, making them important, saturating them a little bit. I just love it. It makes them stand out in the mix. Now, really, really important to this mix is this guy, right? So it's awesome to be able to just use like mastering grade EQs on like buses. It's amazing. Because I do a lot of mid-side stuff. You can see mono section, stereo section. I'm controlling the middle and controlling the sides throughout my mix and master when it's hitting. So that's really, really important to this stuff. Here I'm just bringing down, sweeping everything below 28. And then I'm also rolling down 118 and below at negative 1.3. Probably just because it was a little heavy in the center. So remember, this is just the center. Okay? And then the stereo section, I'm not doing much of anything. But I am using this mono maker, and I'm making that 70 hertz be directly in the center and held down. So really dope plugin. Love it. And that's just kind of like the last plugin in that suite there. Now let's talk about this send, which might just blow your mind. All right. So this send is going to what I call transformer. basically I'm trying to model a transformer and the sound of a transformer. So I'm going into a decapitator, and like when I turn this on and off, you guys are gonna be like, oh my god, Brad, that's the cheat code right there, right? Well, not necessarily, unless you've prepped your drums and you've prepped everything throughout this whole process of mixing and mastering. This may ruin your mix. It may make it brittle. You got to really know what you're doing, right? So many plugins, so hard to figure out which ones to use. Yeah, Plugin Alliance is awesome. I love Waves. Waves is really light. Waves are classic. I like Mic DSP plugins. I like Slate Digital plugins. I like the UAD stuff. As you can see, I'm always using UAD. Fab Filter, I use their Pro Q3 mainly. You know, I just love it. So yeah, so here we go. We got a decapitator here. Which is basically just driving the circuitry a little bit, and yeah, it's just giving me some color, right? It's just giving some distortion. I got some SSL comp waves. I'm gonna show you what these guys are doing. Okay, so just so you guys can see this, like this is really just the top, and it's to give you your transients, okay? Because transients are going to bring your music to life. That's literally what it does. So I'm going to turn this send on and off, soloed with the drums, and then I'll show it to you in the mix, right? So I'm just going to solo it. I'm going to turn the transformer on and off. Now let me show you just a pre-fader send so you guys can really just get an idea of what this transformer is actually doing. It's really just like, and it's giving me like the percussion and stuff. It's giving me transients. That's it. It's bringing to life the record. It's giving the drums more life, right? So you hear how much saturation I'm using within this mix. It's pretty insane, right? So I'm gonna mute the talkback, and I'm gonna show you this pre-fader send and solo the transformer, just so you can hear it, and I'll sweep the EQ and kind of show you why I picked those frequencies. Here you go. Yo, is that helpful? Like, do you guys understand what that's doing? I mean, it's so, to me, it's like night and day. Like, it really is like these little icing, these little moves throughout the whole mix and master that's really going to make a difference, right? So, I mean, you know what? I like really like this move right here, this transformer move. This can make or break a record, you know? Getting that color, getting those transients to hit. A lot of people are trying to use transient designers all the time. Man, my shit's just not hitting. I can't get my snap. You know, the snap in the snare and snap in the perk and stuff. You want snap, like use transformers, push into stuff, sweep it out, you know, filter stuff. and add it back into the mix. A lot of this stuff is parallel, like you're doing parallel processing. It's super important. So now that you guys understand that, I feel like this is going to be way deep of like a walkthrough of just the drums and the kick drum. So I'm going to kind of just like break this into sections. So I'm going to make this live tomorrow. What I'll do is I'll make a live going through like the bass sounds. And then the next day I'll go through like the effects and the arps and the synths and all that stuff and how I made them sit, right? So these are all very, very minute mix moves when I get to it. Like you see all this stuff, it's like it adds up to a ton of stuff, right? It adds up to the overall vibe and the saturation of the track, and you know, giving it something that's like modern, a dated sound, which this is kind of a dated sound, but it gives a dated sound kind of more of a modern feel, a more modern look, right? So all these little tweaks, they add up a lot, and they're gonna make or break your mix and master, right? And if like I'm in here, this room is tuned. I've tuned this room myself. I have a degree in sound, so I understand the physics and the science behind sound. So I've tuned this room, and it peaks up to about 10 feet. It has a nice like bass response. I'm using Focal SM9s. I'm converting through the brand new Apollo converters. You know, like I have a good setup, so I'm hearing what I want to hear. I've moved the speakers around. I've shot the room. I've done all that stuff, right, guys? So like, you know, making these mix moves in a living room or a bedroom that's untreated with some like Yamaha HS5s or 8s or KRK Rockets, like I advise against that, right? Like I would actually wear headphones over like monitor in a room that's not very good. So be very careful with that. Hey, you're so welcome, Beats, Bars, and Bible. Okay, so here we go. I have the transformer is then getting grouped into the all drums mix. And that way, obviously, like I can just go to the all drums. And that's kind of the idea of these all drum, all vocals, all instruments. So hopefully you guys can just hear like how much these drums have improved. And I'm gonna go back and forth from the reference to this real quick, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, reactions. And then tomorrow I'm gonna go into the basses, and I'm gonna get in depth with the basses and how they work with the kick, the sub and the bass, like boom, 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 and like how I got enough low end, but not too much like the reference to where it would just clip out, bog down, sound mono, right? And kind of like my master augs and like how I set that up. So I'm really excited about that. I'll get into it tomorrow. And I'll probably do it around the same time, about 10 a.m., okay? So just so you guys are aware. So drop any questions you got for now. I'm gonna A-B these, and you can kind of pay attention to the drums and like how important the drums are to this mix and how we open them up. Like we gave them much more depth. We gave them much more width. We gave them much more slap, punch, attention. It's like they're serious part of the track now. They're not just like a, you know, a big kick drum, right? So I'm gonna play this again for you. So there you are, a lot more dimension, right? So that's what this is about. It's about opening the track up to where you feel like you're, whoa, this is like a whole world. It's not just like a song playing in the other room, because that's what it sounded like to me before. And they squashed the hell out of it, the reference they did. And I'm sure like it wasn't like something that they thought like, oh, this is sounding incredible. But they had an overall vibe there, and I just wanted to open it up. And that's my job as a mix master engineer, is to open things up add to it, don't take away from it, right? Don't go screw it up. Don't make the kick drum all crappy, right? Like, it needs to feel just much more open, like a galaxy, especially like considering the song's called Firefly. Like, you want it to feel like a bunch of fireflies, and like you want it to feel exciting and kind of driven, kind of heated up, right? Like a firefly would look. Like, you got that buzz, you know, like it's just kind of twinkling, and you know, so those are things like I always think about that when I'm mixing and mastering. There's a huge art form to mixing. Super important. So anyway, if you guys love this, drop some comments, drop some love. In the description, if you ever want to get a mix and master, you want me to work on your project, you can click on the link in the description, and you can get me to mix and master your song. So I'm very affordable right now because you know, I want to take care of people. I want to give them something special. I think the music industry needs to drop a lot of records right now. I think it's really important time because as we come out of this, there's going to be a big shift in the industry. There's going to be a shift in how people consume music, support music. Spotify rolled out new plans for direct donations to artists. Instagram is doing direct donations through their stories and lives and all that stuff. All these platforms, all these social media platforms, distribution channels are giving you guys all the opportunities that you've never had before, right? Through this pandemic. And this pandemic may be a terrible thing, and I think it is. People are dying, people are getting sick, and it's very real. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of opportunities on the other side of this, guys. So stay prepared, get your music sound up, get all your quality up, take everything up. And you know, we're always here to help you guys. Happy to help. Radium Media in Hollywood, California. We have this studio here in the Hollywood Hills, and we have one in the Media District over by Titmouse Studios. So if you guys ever want to work, we always give anybody the option. We're also taking applicants and signups for our Beat Gang, which is basically a private Facebook group and gang of people that pay to get into the gang and submit their music to our sync licensing opportunities, our clients, our rappers, our network of publishers, yeah, pitch for placements, all that stuff, and also get into the Facebook live streams that are private, where I'll break down certain things that I would never break down like on just public internet. So deep topics about like arranging for sync licensing, best ways to pitch for placements, sales techniques, marketing techniques, all that stuff to help you guys grow and make a business and become partners with Radium, because that's what this is really about. It's about finding a lot more partners that are on our page and that are serious about this music industry, right? If you are just a hobbyist and you're, you know, you're mixing and you're mastering and making music for fun and you're learning and it's awesome, like, good for you. Keep doing that, right? And then there's the other side of it where people are doing it for their livelihoods and their business. And we're here to help everybody. We're here to help both sides of that. We've released over 80 episodes of our podcast. Highly recommend you tune into that. We've had Adam 22 on there. We've had Too Short on there. We've had A&Rs from Epic Records to, you know, some of the biggest record labels in the world. So really excited for you guys to get into that stuff too. So lots of information. Subscribe to the channel, jump into the information, dive in. You're going to learn a ton of stuff. I know I have over the last 2 years just interviewing all these people. So yeah, if you want to join the Beat Gang, shoot me a DM or shoot me, you know, drop a comment in the on the video, and I will get back to you. I'll send you the link and everything, and I'll get you all linked up. And I'd love to have you, teach you guys some really cool strategies to build your business. And yeah, keep pushing, keep going, keep mixing, keep mastering, keep learning. Tomorrow I'll do another live and we'll get into the bass sounds, okay? All right, thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. Peace.